across the fence, the University of Vermont's Cream Barn is our backdrop as we discuss all things in agriculture from milk to money with Vermont's new Secretary of Agriculture. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. Our guest today is as comfortable in the studio as he is in the State House, but his first love is the barn. Joining me is Vermont's newly appointed Secretary of Agriculture, Anson Tebbetts. It's great to see you.
Thanks, Judy, and what a wonderful backdrop.
I know.
Starting here
best?
in the best, these are the most comfortable cows in the world.
Well, congratulations on your new job.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit what the last few weeks have been like for you. It's kind of a whirlwind, I would imagine.
Yeah, we began on January 5th, and it's been outstanding. The public's been great, our farm committee's been great, lawmakers have been great. Basically, we've been just listening and learning, trying to learn what the issues are out in the public, and it's been great.
Now, you were the Deputy Secretary, so that must be a big help.
Yeah, it was great to go back into the agency. I had some experience about 7 years ago. I was the deputy there, dealing with animal health issues, dealing with ag development and so forth, weights and measures. So I had an understanding of what the agency does and also a relationship with the legislature. Talk
a little bit about your roots in agriculture, because you're a farm boy from the day you were born.
Yeah, I grew up in Cabot. I still live on the land that I grew up on in Cabot. We had 40 cows, and when I was growing up, we had milkers, and then we had 200 sheep. We sugared. We had a couple of horses, a couple of pets. So we're just a traditional farm on the hillside in Cabot.
Mm-hmm. And so, is your farm still a farm?
It is. My mother is next door to me. I have a little house with Vicki and the kids next door, and she sells her crops, her hay and so forth, and we have animals that visit us in the summertime. I think probably the most photographed Holsteins and so forth, and we have those. And I have a couple of silly pets. I have a couple of Highlander cows, and then I have a small flock of sheep that I try to manage.
Now, do you have a role model growing up?
Well, of course, my parents.
Mm-hmm.
They sacrificed a lot for all of us. I had two brothers, and they sacrificed a lot. They encouraged us to do whatever we wanted to do. Somehow I got involved in media, but farming was always a part of what we did. Gave me a good upbringing of putting in a hard day's work, and also very rewarding working with the animals and close to the land.
Mm-hmm. And so, what were your off-farm interests?
Well, baseball is one, of course. Red Sox fan.
Yep.
I think I chose my college, Emerson College, because it was located the closest to Fenway Park. I think that was.
Well, that's always a good reason.
Well, it was pretty simple. I think I listened to ball games back in the 80s on the radio. So baseball was always part of my life. Farming was always part of my life. And then somewhere along the way, I got involved in media. Gosh knows how that happened.
So tell me a little bit about that transition to Boston. That was a big leap.
Yeah, I think I was listening to the radio one night, and back then there wasn't the phone where you could listen to anything you wanted in the world. You had to actually put your ear to the radio if you wanted to get some of those bigger stations out of Boston, New York. And I think at some point I was listening to talk shows overnight, and they mentioned Emerson College. And then from there I said, well, that might be a good place. And I looked on the map, and it's like, oh, Emerson, that's pretty close to Fenway. And it was a small school. So I applied, and it's the only school I ever applied to.
Really?
I got in, and off I went. Got on the Vermont Transit from White River with my 7 suitcases, and showed up. Someone picked me up, taxi, and took me to the school, and was down there 4 years and loved it.
Now, when did you make the transition into media? When did you decide that was how you wanted to do things?
Well, I was fortunate going to college through an internship. I began at WDEV Radio in Waterbury with Ken Squire and Eric Michaels and that crew. And in the summertime, I would file. They called them stringers. So you'd do reports. You'd go to a meeting at night, and you'd file your report. And I would file them from the barn. I'd go to the meeting. I'd be milking, and back in the days, you get your tape recorder, and you'd put your phone over the top of the tape recorder, and that would be the sound bite, and you'd file from the barn. So that's what I did, and I worked there in the summer, a couple of summers, and then eventually they hired me. And actually, my first job was writing copy, so I was doing commercials for WDEV Radio out of Waterbury, and of course every commercial read like a news story, which that's why they probably moved me out of commercials into news. I was probably a little too accurate on what I was doing.
Well, I think that's when I first met you, was when you were working for DEV. Tell me about the early days of radio.
A great place. It was, it's live, it's local, it's spontaneous. Really, it was never any cookie cutter. It's much the same it is now at WDEV. But if, breaking news, you cut into the music, you tell people about it. You talk to people on the, you call up and you talk to them on the phone. It's just sort of very spontaneous, and that's why radio is still a wonderful medium, because it's still a lot of spontaneity, and it's not as much production involved. And if you needed 5 minutes to do something, you did it. If you needed 30 seconds to tell something, and it's very personal as well.
So tell me a little bit about the move to television. When did you make that move?
Made that move in 1994. My first job with WCAX was in Rutland. They needed someone to cover southern Vermont, Rutland, Bennington, Brattleboro, and I had never, I don't think I'd ever combed my hair, actually. But I decided, well, after you're into television, you probably should comb your hair. So I did that, and I went down there and rode around in Van A, the turquoise Van A from Channel 3, which was a wonderful experience. I didn't know southern Vermont that well, so that was good. Rutland's a wonderful community, very energetic. People show up for events, so they welcome me down there. And I got to see Bennington, I got to see Brattleboro, I got to see all those areas that I really wasn't quite familiar with. So it was a great experience for me, and I was down there about a year, and then I moved to Montpelier, where I covered politics in the Northeast Kingdom.
How did you like covering politics? Because that's sort of an acquired taste.
Yeah, I covered, I'm trying to think, Governor Cunin was the first one I covered when I was at WDEV. And then I had Governor Dean, and we had Governor Dean, and at one point he was running for president, as you remember. He ran for president, so we would go to Iowa, and we went to Milwaukee, and we sort of followed that train as it went along. Then Governor Douglas, and then when I came back to television, Governor Shumlin. So I covered 4 governors, and politics is it's up and down. It's some of the issues. But one great thing about politics in Vermont is the access that media has. You know them, you can call them up, you can meet them. I need to talk with you about one particular issue, call them up. Oh, okay, meet us outside, we'll talk to you about it.
Yep.
Same at the State House. The access is quite extraordinary compared to other places around the country.
Let me ask you, what was your favorite story? Because people ask me that all the time, and it's hard to pick just one.
It is, but I had great latitude in what I did, as WCX allows you to tell stories that need to be told, and I always love the critter stories. As a great day would be in the barn like this today, maybe talking with a farmer or stuff. But one of my favorite ones is, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, Charlie the dog. Now Charlie was a basset hound, and Charlie, like everyone, has to get up in the morning and go to work.
Has a routine.
And I think we all can relate to this. So Charlie would get up in the morning, and then he would weave his way through the traffic, through the long commute, down to the milk plant. And he would do this every day on his own. 4:30, 5 o'clock, when it was time to go back home, Charlie would weave his way back home.
All right, let's take a look at that story.
His routine's slowed down, but he's been known to go to Monument Farms Dairy every day of his life.
That's 13 years, or 91 dog years of dodging cars and trucks.
Everybody knows Charlie. John and I sort of came to the conclusion he's so happy that we just didn't dare change his lifestyle. And I know, he brings 18-wheelers to complete stops.
Stopping is something Charlie just doesn't do. This daring dog will blow through any stop sign on his quarter-of-a-mile trip to the milk plant. It started at an early age. Charlie took the road less traveled as a puppy.
And they were all running around us, and they were carrying on, and all of a sudden one went off and laid down as if to say, if you want me, I'm over here.
And hundreds of miles later, the journey continues.
Good morning, Charlie. He's just fun to have here.
Now nearly blind and deaf, Charlie still hasn't lost his appetite to visit the office.
There you go, Charlie. Usually myself or Myrna will give him the biscuit, and he's pretty demanding about the biscuit. He really wants that biscuit when he gets here.
And it hasn't hurt his health. Maybe it's all that walking.
Exercise is good for all of us, so why not a dog?
Charlie is a celebrity, posing for landscape photographers during his downtime.
He's a legend around here. I mean, you've seen him. How can he not be?
When the workday is over, Charlie heads home. Hit only once in his travels, and that was in a driveway. His owners aren't worried he won't make it home.
Absolutely not. He's made it this long. There's no way. He's going to do it to the end. Absolutely.
Charlie's a dog who just loves life.
I can count on him and his routine every single day.
He's a dog who's an inspiration to his family and his followers, who like taking the road less traveled. Anson Tebbetts, Channel 3 News, Weybridge.
That's a great story, great dog.
Yeah, they're still producing wonderful milk out of that plant, but of course Charlie has since passed, but he was quite a character.
So how has your decade of covering public policy prepared you to be Secretary of Agriculture, do you think?
Well, I think it's, I've got a chance to meet a lot of great people, and I think one thing it is helped me is relationships, and I think that's very important in government, especially in Vermont. We like to know who our public officials are. We like to talk with them. We've had some listening tours around the state, and those have been helpful to give us ideas, because as we all know, the best ideas always come from the bottom up. They don't come from me, they don't come from the higher levels. But people really are grounded, they know what works, and they're looking for support from government, and I think that's probably one thing that's prepared me.
Are there different issues in different parts of the state?
I think so. One thing that we're focused on is trying to build the rural economy. I think it's very important that we work on that, and agriculture is a perfect fit for that, and they're going to have to be part of that conversation if we're going to improve the economy, make it more affordable for folks. We're going to have to work on the rural economy, and we're going to have to be working with our agriculture community, whether it's dairy farmers, whether it's our vegetable growers, whether it's our maple sugar producers. All those people have to be part of that conversation.
Because I think a lot of people don't realize just how vital the farm economy is and the trickle-down effect it has.
Absolutely. When you have a thriving agriculture economy, it does help. People need to buy feed, they need to buy fertilizer, they need to buy supplies. They need to have the veterinarian come and check on their animals. If it's doing well and it's where it's supposed to be, it helps a lot of people within their communities. And it plays a big role in some portions of our state, because there's the Addison County, the Franklin counties, the Orleans counties. Those are heavily relying on agriculture.
What are some of the challenges ahead, do you think?
Some of the challenges, we want to make it more affordable for our farmers. That's one challenge we have. We don't have a lot of control over the federal pricing system for dairy. But we probably can control some of the inputs they put in there. So we're talking about the cost of doing business. So maybe we can help them with that. Farmers are under a little bit of anxiety and now labor issues. There's a lot of labor issues getting people to work on farms and agriculture. It's very rewarding, but it can be difficult work. So that's something, but very rewarding if you want to be outside, you want to be with animals, you want to be in the garden, you want to be at the florist. All those things are very important.
And how about the opportunities ahead?
Opportunities ahead are great. I think we're focused on customer service. We want to hear from our farmers what they think is important for us. We have some of the best quality agriculture products in the nation. Our artisan cheese industry, our milk is considered some of the best quality in the world. So those are opportunities. And I think there is a real understanding of how important agriculture is to Vermont, and people really want all of our farmers to succeed.
Well, Anson, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to talk to you.
Thank you, Judy, and thank you across the fence.
And our thanks to the UVM College of Agriculture and Life Sciences for allowing us to use their barn today. Always a pleasure to be here with the girls. That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. Thanks for joining us.